Hi guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you had a great week and were able to do more and more steps that will get you to the next level of creating an epic life for you that is full of joy, abundance, service, and just like all of those things that you imagine in your mind and that you bring out through your extroverted sensing, through your feeling functions, whatever it is that you just bring to life. If you do like the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and never forget to subscribe, and of course click the bell, otherwise you will just not get notified when I have a new video out. And today I really want to talk to you about like another way to really create more abundance, to create like a life on the next level. So last time we talked about the fact that you should follow your joy and drop the things you don't want, and to realize that following your joy does not mean I'm gonna get drunk tonight and just have fun for the night, but just like really aiming for joy on a long-term way, that you need to mobilize yourself and just like do the steps that are necessary in order to get there. It's just like a game plan. You follow it, you make little steps so you have success stories during the week, and then move forward, and you'll see how much faster you'll accelerate into your growth journey and create just, a life that is full of fun with like your friends, your family, love, and financial freedom and all of those things. Like all of these things are possible by using practical approaches. That's the main thing I want to get across here. So as I said, this is like one tactic that I talked about last time about like really following your joy. Today I want to talk to you about another one, which is just as important and can make like that much of a difference in your life, but this one is a little bit more difficult. So it depends how confident you are with that topic, how much practice you have. This is maybe a little bit for a more advanced like personal growth lovers, but it definitely works, and I think it's one of the main things that made a difference in my life. It's about redefining what you feel about a situation. So let's say you're at a job and you're mediocre at this job. There are a couple of ways you can approach it. Number one is for you to realize, well, okay, I'm not good at this, but I base my self-confidence on the fact that I'm, successful at this. I base my self-worth on this. I base who I am in a lot of ways about how I perform also in this job area. This is of course just an example. I think most of us are at a point where we know we are not defined by our jobs. We shouldn't like really put our self-confidence at a point where it's dependent on that, but we should also be really honest with ourselves. Most of us are not able to completely take ourselves out of that. It's just not as easy as we want it to sound. And you might be able to do it with your job, but are you really able to do it when it comes to your friends? Like all of these, like I don't care what people think about me. We all kind of do. We all kind of do. Like I can say, of course, I'm much better now than I was 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 1 year ago. Yeah, definitely. But it's still something that is just a normal thing that happens. You are in a society, you need to kind of like have either security, or that you have like a status, or that you have some kind of thing that makes you valuable within the society. If you're like, let's say, in a normal level of personal development. If you're in a higher places, then you can like just kind of say like, I cut this off. Like, when I like stopped working, it just, you can imagine what kind of a big jump it was for me on paper, but I had made like those big shifts like a long time ago, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I also know just as well that when I look back at myself 5 years from now, I'm gonna say, oh my God, you were so actually addicted what people think of you and how you were perceived and so on. Just because from a natural evolution of me focusing on those things, we do get better. So there are always, plateaus, there are always levels, and we should only aim to get better at it, so it's like less stressful for our life, and realize that there are always ways we can improve. Like I hope none of you says, I really don't care what people think of me, and I really don't care like what it says about me when it comes to like the job I choose, because there are probably still things that are so subconscious to us we can't really get rid of. Like in general, making like observations like this, I don't care what people think about me, and I just say like, this is not a bad thing. It helps you to kind of get to that point, but just to like realize that there's always ways to improve. So let's say you're at this job, right? And you kind of feel like this is not going the way it should go. I'm not really having that much success, but actually, what does this say about me? Does that really mean I'm slow? Does that mean I'm not smart? Does that mean that I'm just not as good as anybody else and I don't deserve to be here? And then you start this race with yourself of actually trying to outperform yourself and do better and better and better. And in a lot of job situations, you will never reach this point where you will get this external validation that you need, which would be, you're amazing, you're doing more than enough, thank you so much for everything you do, and it will give you some kind of satisfaction. It just won't happen, because everybody is so focused on their own life and their own problems and so on. I mean, in cases, yes, you might have those situations where you really get recognized and it's in this great way, but in a lot of ways, people work too much to prove something that they need for themselves in order to feel better. So, and I personally didn't have problems like this with jobs for a long time, but with me it was more with personal relationships. I had to learn a lot of things to realize that I'm actually a good person. I always felt like I had to prove to people that I am a good person, and if there were people who didn't think of me as a good person, then I had to show off extra. I needed to put in the extra effort for that person, no matter what, to just see that, because they have to recognize it. And those are the problems. You will not get this external validations where you lost it. So if you're going for something where you're not getting that, so you work your ass off at your job and you don't get the validation, or you wanted this person to see you as, a smart, a capable, a genuine person, whatever it is, a person that just wants the best for them, and they don't see it. If you lost your, let's say, self-confidence or whatever it was at that place, you will not get it back there. And this is what I said, most people will just keep on fighting when the solution is another one. It's about redefining what you feel in that situation. So when you get to a point and this person, no matter what, doesn't give you the feeling that you're a good person, no matter how much you try, you have to change the way you look at that person. You have to change the fact that, you're putting that person on a pedestal thinking they're good. And if they don't see that you're good, then that says something about you. And that's what I mean with this gets difficult. This is not something you can just learn just like this. Takes a lot of practice of you to change the way you feel about things. So with that person, it's a matter of, I have to change the way I look at that person. I have to realize, well, that person is not better than me, because it doesn't make me feel good. The way you perceive life, the way you define life, the way you kind of create your reality is an illusion. It's made up. I just saw my best friend from college. We went to college together. We spent so much time with each other. And still, when she goes out and she goes to job interviews or something like this, she just has a completely different focus than me. And it's so made up. No matter where you live, if you have the same economic possibilities, whatever it is, you define it for your own, how you see life and how you approach it. So you can change the way you feel about that person that doesn't give you the validation you need. Maybe it's time to tell yourself, well, that person isn't that good of a person for me, for my life. I have to define that person as somebody who is not beneficial to my life and who isn't that great. Because if they were great, then they would see me as great. Because the only real reality that matters is mine. It's not that you put yourself over there and you say, I'm the only person that matters. I'm saying, I'm the leading character in my movie and you should be the leading character of your movie. I don't want to be the main character in your movie, ever. But I know I am in mine. And you are in yours. And so if that person doesn't make you feel good, then that person shouldn't have that big of a role in your life and that important role in your life. That person should be defined as somebody who, doesn't really matter in your life, because they don't bring you joy. They don't bring you benefit. They don't bring you anything that will get you further in life. And you can redefine these things. You have to understand and be a little bit detached to know that, well, I can decide absolutely everything and how I feel about people, and people that I find great, which don't like me, that you say, well, I don't like them. I've heard this saying of, I love who loves me. And I thought it was so stupid. I thought, what a stupid thing to say. That's pretty much, don't like that person for who they really are, but just for the fact that they like you. So, I like people. There are people I like that I think, what a great pianist, what a great, interesting character, what an interesting, just person, and the way they live their life, and they don't care about me. well, I can look at them and still think they're great, but that doesn't mean that I have to give it some kind of like significance what they feel about me. I can just like them from a distance, how you like somebody you watch on TV and stuff, and think like, oh, like that's a person I can take as a role model. Doesn't mean I want that person to be my friend and to continuously tell me or show me that they don't have time for me because their focus is on something else. You know, that's not what we need. And the same thing with this job. So if you're at a job where constantly you realize, well, I'm not getting the validation I need, I'm not getting something out of it that gives me actually energy, to understand that, yeah, I do maybe suck at this job. Maybe I don't suck at it, but it doesn't give me what I want. So I'm just not gonna like this job anymore. I'm just not gonna do these things anymore. I'm not gonna put this job as like the one holy grail that will give me everything I want out of life. That if I make this, then it'll mean that, you know, I'm great at life. But to like change your perspective about this job and say, well, this is for people who care about this, who are really good at this, or who don't care about validation, or who don't have the strength to kind of like get out of that and do things that are good for them. We can redefine absolutely everything. So if you think this is my best friend, but your best friend constantly nags on you, and you've been telling this friend, listen, I'm not gonna tolerate this, but you still do, then, you know, you really have to change the fact, do I want this person to be my best friend? Like maybe it's better if I'm alone. Maybe I can say, you can be my best friend, but only if you're acting in a way that is good for me. That doesn't mean you're not doing compromise. That doesn't mean that you don't care about other people at all. Actually, the more you care about that you're treated well, the better you feel and the more you can help people. There's nothing selfish about it. Like, you know, those people that actually put people down all the time, I can guarantee you those people have people in their life who put them down. You will not see a person who's just genuinely happy and has people around them that uplift them, that puts people down. That just doesn't exist. So we can always decide how we feel about a situation, how we feel about a job. And sometimes, more often than not, we will be in situations that don't feel like it. So let's say you're in a relationship and you want to break it off because that person is not giving you attention, love, respect, and so on, right? You're still in that situation. So it still feels like you're abandoning that person. It still feels like if I would break it off, I'm the bad guy because that person makes me feel bad for leaving. You know, you're right now in this situation. This is how you feel at that moment, right? This is how you feel. There's nothing you can change about it. This is how you feel at that moment. So, but knowing at a point of, well, I deserve to be treated a different way. I deserve to have a mutual relationship full of respect where everybody just tries to help the other one. Like that person might have some kind of like problems and can't like, you know, allow intimacy, but that doesn't mean that I have to suffer. And then to actually do the steps and to redefine who that person is for you over and over again, and to say like, you know, I wish that person the best, but I don't want them in my life. And to kind of like change the way you look at that person in order to be able to cut it off. That's what I mean. When you change your perspective, it's clear that it's not going to be easy because it's different than what you think right now about it. If you think like, I need to excel at this job or I'm a complete loser, that's your reality at that point. To tell yourself, well, this job doesn't really matter because it's just one of many jobs and this is not even like a field that is the only field I can do. Telling yourself that is not easy. This is if you're more advanced in this stuff, but you can definitely do it. You can definitely add things to your life that are inner field that is more in tune with what your natural preferences are, and then kind of give this thing more significance over time and then like cut that old thing off that is not giving you what you want. Like people have told me, you know, you make it so easy for yourself. You just like change the way you feel about things, meaning you never have to fight for anything. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Like I fight for this. I've been doing this channel for 4 years now, I think. Yeah, it's been 4 years. Like I do this. I stay consistent. I do my work. Like I'm responsible for making this happen. But I can still let go of things that don't make me feel good. Like I had this old colleague who said to me like, yeah, life is all about suffering. That's just how it has to be. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You can define things in a way that are good for you. Not good for your friend, not good for your mother, not good for your colleague, but for you. Because your friend, your mother, your colleague, they have to define life for them. The way they see life fit is for them. That's their prerogative. They can choose to live in a world that doesn't make them happy. They can choose to live in a world that does make them happy. That's on them. But you have the choice, and nobody else can do it for you, to decide how you approach life. So you can decide, what does make me happy? What do I have to do? Does that say something about me? And so on. And you can do it step by step. So if you don't feel good about, like, how your boss treats you, and you think, and I have to do better so my boss sees that I'm so great at it, you can decide that shouldn't be the way I define myself. Although it feels like this is this moment, I can just let go and detach myself from it, knowing that right now it doesn't feel like this. So how I tell you often, just in a way of lie to yourself. Lie to yourself. This is how it's going to feel. Telling yourself, I don't care about my job, when, in the back of mind, very well, my job is everything for me because I don't have anything else. But if you tell yourself, I don't want this job to mean anything for me, so I'm going to tell myself that my job doesn't mean anything to me, so I'm going to go and add something to my life that will bring me more joy. So the other thing, my job will just lose its significance the more I focus on the thing I want. So let me know if that helps you, and let me know in the comments if you've done something like this, if you're going to do something like this. How do you change your reality in a way of how you define it? How do you define the people in your life? How do you define the relationships in your life? Is that really the way you want to connect with people? Do you want to change something about it? So let me know in the comments. I always appreciate it, and it gives me always ideas for new videos, because I do want to help you, and the more I know what you're thinking about, what you're going through, I can do that. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, as I said in the beginning of the video, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and the bell. And if you're interested in coaching, check out the link in the description. I wish you a great week, and I think of you. I wish you all the best, and define life on your terms. Bye, my friends.